Welcome back, everybody, and thank you very much for sticking with me, the Abi Roberts Show here on today's News Talk TNT. And I'm joined by my second guest, the wonderful Rachel Matthews. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, Abby.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Is all well in? Are you in Colchester at the moment?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Fantastic. Yes, that's very good. That was a good, well, I was going to say a good guess. But as you have become known for your activism, can I call you an activist?
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not very active. I sit at home on my sofa commenting on the local council.
Yes, and it's wonderful, wonderful stuff. And Rachel, you became known to me because I saw some of your videos from Colchester Council Watch. Can you explain a little bit how you've gone from? Because I know you're a gardener designer by profession. How did you go from gardens to basically holding the bureaucrats to account?
That's a very good question. I wish I knew. I basically made the mistake of going along to a council meeting with a group of people to find out whether they were going to turn Colchester into a 15-minute city or not. And it turned out they say they're not, but they were talking about putting a lot of EVs onto the streets of Colchester with e-cargo bikes, rapid transit system buses, and a lot of us have seen all of those fires, and we thought, oh no, because they're on alternative social media, but they at the time they weren't so much on mainstream. So we thought we must go back and tell them, look, these things are dreadful. Do you realise? And then when we started to research the fires, we then, to our horror, discovered how awful the production of EVs, and it's just the complete opposite of being good for the environment. So then it became this whole thing of us going in every few weeks to tell them, look, this is really bad, you've got to look into it, and not to mention the child slave labour as well with the cobalt. And you can imagine how that went. They don't really want to listen, although some did. And because we didn't know how the council operated, we started watching their council meetings to just get a vague clue, because none of us are interested in politics or anything like that. And some of their meetings are 3 or 4 hours long. And after 9 months of doing this, we thought, really, everybody in Colchester should be knowing this. And who on earth in their right mind is going to want to sit through 3 or 4 hour meetings? And I had the stupid idea of thinking, we're doing it anyway, why not just do a highlights video after each meeting to get other people engaged in what's going on in the community? So that's really how it came about.
Yes, incredible. And I've watched again your March the 21st last year, 2023, and it was incredible, your speech about the electric vehicles, and to watch, I have to say, and we haven't got a clip here, unfortunately, but a clip of it. But the first thing I spotted was the hand sanitizer and the rainbow lanyards of the 2 people who were sitting behind you while you're giving this excellent speech about, well, do you know about cobalt mining? You know, that children are used, and just astonishing that nobody, I think one of the guy that responds to you says something like, oh, well, but normal cars also have to use, what's the word, are also detrimental. I mean, completely avoided your point about the fact that there's child labour and that and things catch fire. It was bizarre.
I mean, we sent our question. You don't have to, but we'd sent our questions in before going in because we wanted proper answers. We weren't trying to catch them on the hop. We really wanted proper answers. And it's like, well, you clearly didn't read the questions, did you?
Yes. And just extraordinary. And so where do you think this crazy climate nuttiness comes from? Because I mean, we'll have a break in a minute, and then I want to come back and talk to you about the hockey stick stuff and Michael Mann, because all that. I mean, honestly, it's so much. Again, we've so much to talk about, but very short on time. So we're going to go, Rachel, now just to a quick break, and I will come back to you and we'll talk about that in more detail. So don't go anywhere. Please come back, or I will come round and sit on your face. Okay. I'm Abi Roberts. This is TNT.
For lovers of truth, liberty, free speech, and the pursuit of justice, Abi Roberts on today's News Talk, TNT.
Welcome back, and I'm still joined here by my wonderful guest, Rachel Matthews, and there's a new guest, Lena Lena in the background. Hello, Lena. Good morning. Oh, bless her.
This could be a huge mistake.
No, it's wonderful. Anything the dog's in, Rachel, I love it. Absolutely love it. Now we were talking about Colchester Council holding, people to account, and your wonderful speech. People, by the way, can see it on YouTube, March the 21st, 2023. Just look for Colchester Council Watch. Let's just delve in a little bit to why, why we think the climate ideology is being pushed using lies, essentially, and not talking about the sun.
That's a very big, deep question, and I don't claim to have all the answers. But if you look at all the things that are involved and follow the money, there seems to be an awful lot of money. Certainly in 2018, the green industry was worth, I think, 1.5 trillion US dollars, which works out about $4 billion a day. It's a colossal amount of money. And they're just stripping the earth of all the raw materials. And even if you don't go down the deeper conspiracy theory, they're trying to lock us down and shut us in. Just following the money, you can see that this is a big motivator.
Yes, indeed. And the people who go up against it. I mean, even people, I think, who worked within NASA and various other organizations were I remember back in the, I think, 70s and 80s, they were already being pushed out for saying this is nonsense. So I think there's been a lot of, a few people trying to push back. And of course, you do lots of other, I mean, your work has now encouraged other people to do, well, your Stockport Council video is fantastic. And when was that? That's also, isn't it, on YouTube?
Yes, they're all on the Council Watch. I did originally put the videos on my Successful Garden Design channel, but then when I started doing a lot, I thought, okay, we need a separate channel now. But everything can be seen on the Colchester Council Watch YouTube channel, including my reply to the lovely councillors at Stockport.
Lovely.
So it's great that other people are taking up the mantle, and also we need this up and down the country. There needs to be council watches everywhere, because it really puts the spotlight on the councillors in a way they're not used to, and they get public feedback from the comments, because they don't really, some have a better idea of what public opinion is than others, but for the most part, the quiet people, they're not coming into contact with them. They're coming into contact with the ones that moan the most about something. But to have contact with ordinary people and see hundreds of comments about something they've said is very powerful, and it needs to be done everywhere while we still have councils, because there's a big push to basically do away with them. So while we have just this small delusion of democracy, we've got to use it. So now is the time for other people to start their own channels, and we've got some resources to help people should they so wish. They can just get in contact with me at Colchester Council Watch, and we can help them.
Yes, that's so wonderful, Colchester Council Watch. And as you said, delusion of democracy, a little small delusion. It's so true that people are maybe unaware that they can, that things have shifted. I don't know quite when that happened, when the grassroots, well, I suppose it was when you stopped having a like the GP that lived round the corner. Like my mum used to have a GP that lived round the corner, a church that you could just go, oh, hello, on a Sunday, and all those, that little localised stuff that you could say to somebody on a council, listen here, what about the bins? And it seems to have sort of become like this blob.
Yes, although all our councillors do live locally, and they do get out in the community. We're actually very lucky with the councillors we have in Colchester. Thankfully, nothing like the ones they have in Stockport, bless them.
Stockport. And I had wonderful Sue and Steve, James, I don't know if you saw, yes, I think you emailed me after that show, lovely, who are also, they live up in Stockport, and they've been doing wonderful things regarding Tom's story, the wonderful young man who is being pursued by doctors and a judge to try and force him to have the COVID-19 vaccines. I think his court case is coming up later this week, I believe. So you're doing wonderful things, Rachel. I mean, it's just, I said to a friend of mine the other day who's also having a bit of a battle with Richmond Council, my friend Martin, that the grassroots thing is so important. It is. I mean, I found that myself with the stuff I've been doing, over the last 4 years, and being arrested last year for swearing outside the COVID inquiry, that these little things people think they're small, but actually they make an enormous, don't they, a tapestry of resistance, I call it.
Well, yes. I mean, you don't have to be a bright light. You can have 1,000 tea lights and it illuminates a vast area. And if we all just shine as bright as we can and do our little part, it's that combined effort that makes the difference.
Yes, indeed. And are you concerned? I was thinking about your wonderful gardens, your gardening. Are we going to have gardens in the next 5
Well,
years?
they're certainly trying to stop us growing vegetables. They are really trying to say that is damaging the environment. And you think, well, could you evidence how me growing some vegetables organically in my back garden is damaging the environment more than you shipping something from Costa Rica that is out of season? So if you could show me that evidence, I'll consider it. But until then, no.
Yes, and I've seen footage, I'm sure you have, of there's a wonderful, I love the French, because, you know, they're in supermarkets, they go, qu'est-ce que c'est que ça, que c'est des choux-fleurs, d'Espagne. You know, they're sort of like, why is stuff coming from outside France? And it's a good question, isn't it? And you're being told things that are, you're like the COVID stuff and the vaccines and all the rest of it. You're being told stuff, and the trans men becoming women. You're being told stuff that is logically completely false.
Yes, and then back for it if you dare say, no, this is how it is.
Yes,
it's a fascinating time to be alive, but I pity young people right now, because they must just be so confused, not knowing which way is up.
Yes, I do. I do pity young people. Although I do have 3 nephews who are quite based. They're quite sort of, but I mean, I'm going to blow my own trumpet now, thanks to me, kind of basically like trying to sort of funnel some stuff, you know, via their parents, with stuff like this. But I think it's a weird time to be alive, but also lots of opportunities to sort of swerve round the blob. I think we do you have optimism that we can do that?
I do, if people can get past the apathy. The problem with modern life is it grinds you down. Everyone's working so hard just to pay the bills and raise their family and all of the stuff that's thrown at you. And I think by design, it does wear you down, but you've got to find that little bit of extra energy. If everybody does a little something and says no, basically, we've had enough of this and we've all got to roll our sleeves up and start running things ourselves. I think the political system is awful. We need to get shot at a lot of them, and the people start running stuff. Because if you think about it, think how many people work for councils and corporations. If we just started doing stuff for each other and say, no, we've had enough of you, you've had your chance, it wouldn't be that much different. With, you know, we're still going out to work every day, but we'd be doing it for ourselves and not the corporations. And that is what we need to do. But it's getting enough people motivated. So it is now or never, folks. You know, find that energy. And I think with the farming protests, if they kick off in England, I think that will help galvanise people. They'll really see it, because your farmers are literally the salt of the earth. They're the hardest working, well, some of the hardest working people. And they're not conspiracy theorists. They don't have time for that nonsense. So if they're kicking off telling you there's a problem, you must listen.
Yes, very good points, Rachel. Thank you so much for coming on. Will you come back, and then we'll go even further into this, because this is fascinating stuff. And thank you for all you do. And please do get in touch with Colchester Council Watch, which is wonderful, Rachel's work that she's doing. Okay, so we're going to go to a break, and we're going to have some calls as well, I think. So don't go anywhere, or I'll come round and steal your sweets.